Hello again. Now tonight as I was coming home I had this weird idea that maybe as modern record players are pretty unmitigating lumps of plastic junk like this, it might be possible to actually make a record player out of scrap and just bits and bobs found around the house. So I had a bit of a think about it and this is what I've come up with. First problem was what to use for a turntable. After a bit of thought, I thought why not a lid from a sweet box or a sweet tub like this. Now it doesn't look that promising, but it's about the right size for a 7-inch single. It's got a nice rim that I could run an external motor around or on to drive it. It's reasonably flat and it actually has a little dimple in the middle already marked out for the center. So that would do as a turntable. So possibly use the rest of it as a mount, but maybe not. If I did, I'd have to mount it off to one side like that, so that the motor could come up and drive the edge here. The driving the motor from the edge rather than the middle is basically a way of stepping down, because little DC motors like the ones I like to use just run far too fast. So anyway, let's just keep that bit on the table for the minute. So in terms of making it into a turntable, a few other problems to solve, one of which is a center pivot. Now I do actually have ball races and various sorts of bearings, but one common thing would be a little DC motor. Now this is actually one of the vibration motors out of a PlayStation 2 type controller. So I'd have to take the weight off, and I wouldn't actually be using this to drive the turntable at all. This would merely be the central bearing. So that's an idea there. And then use another motor. I've got a sample one here. Now this almost certainly isn't suitable. I think this has got brushes and would be very noisy. But something like this, maybe with a bit of shrink wrap, heat shrink is the word I'm looking for, on the actual shaft to actually drive the turntable around. And I'd have to work out the correct speed. I could drive this either by some sort of variable voltage device or controller, or I could use something like a 555 timer and do pulse width modulation. So there are various options, but almost certainly not this motor. I'll have to dig around and find something a bit more suitable, something that's quiet, maybe an old cassette motor or similar. So anyway, that's the idea so far. I'll probably use one of those cheap ceramic cartridges like I've used before, and use some piece of rod or plastic. See if I've got something suitable. Got a bit of cable ducting here that might be suitable for a pickup, but I think that's probably a bit heavy. I'm sure I can find something though, something nice and light and straight that I could use as a tone arm. I'd have to think about the gearing as well, or the mounting of the tone arm, and then use some sort of small amplifier. This is a random old amplifier that I've got. I could connect it up to something like this, or I could use an LM386 little amplifier, or some other similar little amplifier to basically take the output of the cartridge and feed it in to some mini speakers. So anyway, that's the idea. Very early stages yet, but I thought I'd make a quick video just to show my idea and how I propose to go about it. I think it'd be quite fun. One thing is I'm going to try avoid using 3D printed parts. Now I'd love to make a whole record player using 3D printed parts, and other people have done so, but I think for this experiment I'm going to just use scrap and bits and bobs. It won't be very robust, but I really should be able to get it to work. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Mr. RG Stuff.